Joaquin Almunia, many thanks for being here with WPC TV.
Thank you for inviting me.
You are Commissioner of some standing now in Brussels, now in charge of competition. The European Union has had its troubles in recent years, particularly because of the crisis, if that's not too strong a word, in the Eurozone. How do you think the Union, as a body of institutions, has reacted? Do you think it's been efficient, or do you think it's rather failed in its responsibilities?
Well, at the beginning, I was in charge of economic and monetary affairs. 2007, 2008, Lehman Brothers came, and we were not prepared at all. Neither the Commission nor the member states. I remember the first meetings at the ECOFIN level or at the Euro group level discussing how to react, what to do, what is first. First is to legislate against credit rating agencies, or to change the prudential rules of the banks, or to strengthen the supervisors, to the coordination of the financial regulators, to put money into the banks. At the beginning was very difficult. Yeah. But I think Europe as such, and the Euro area in particular, together with the Commission and the Central Bank, we reacted quite quickly. And in the first summit of the G20 in Washington, November 2008, so less than 3 months after Lehman Brothers went bust, the Europeans were on the lead in that discussions. I remember the Americans were having elections. Mr. Bush was in his last days, and we were on the lead, clearly, in 3 months, in a crisis that started in the US.
Yes. Do you think, let's assume that the Lehman Brothers catastrophe hadn't happened, and that the subprime mortgage problem which preceded it hadn't happened. Do you think that if you look at the Eurozone as a whole, that at some point there would have been a problem such as the problem with Greece now, and to an extent with Spain, Portugal, Ireland, Italy, and so on, because of the divergences within the Eurozone? I mean, it's hardly an optimal currency area.
Of course, if the shock, the big shock of the Lehman Brothers bankruptcy could not have been taking place, the problems in the Euro area would not have been developed at this fast speed and with a big shock, in particular after the public debt crisis beginning 2010. But I remember before Lehman, we were celebrating the 10th anniversary of the Economic and Monetary Union, and we prepared during part of 2007 and the first months of 2008 a big report on the first 10 years of the Euro and of the Euro area. And there, in this report, published in May 2008, so 5 months before Lehman, you can read the failures of the first decade of the Economic and Monetary Union that need to be fixed. The lack of strong surveillance on the public debt evolution, the lack of attention from the member states' point of view for the correction of the macroeconomic imbalances that were not of the fiscal nature, the need to avoid these big divergences in competitiveness. So I think we were aware, but we cannot predict, we couldn't predict at that time the developments that started the day after Lehman Brothers.
But this implies that the Commission simply didn't have, and maybe doesn't have, enough power, because the problems were foreseeable, and yet the national governments didn't act.
Yes, at that time,
and France and Germany, for example.
No, France and Germany had violated the Stability and Growth Pact in 2003. But from 2005 onwards, the discipline, the fiscal disciplines, was kept. Only Greece had serious problems with fiscal discipline since 2005 onwards. But I remember very well when I presented, together with Jean-Claude Trichet, by the way, in the Eurogroup, my concerns regarding the macroeconomic imbalances or the excessive levels of debt to GDP ratios in some member states, the risks of a housing bubble bust. The ministers were not aware of this, and were looking at the Commission or at the ECB as saying, well, why these Europeans want to adopt decisions on our behalf? No? And the governance instruments at that time were weaker than now.
Yeah.
With the crisis, with the lessons learned during the crisis, now the economic governance and the fiscal governance has much more powerful instruments.
And do you think that the solution of having greater fiscal integration and greater political oversight will actually cause a deeper division between the Eurozone and those like the British who are outside it?
Well, this is a discussion that is taking place right now around the single supervisory mechanism. That is the first pillar of the banking union. Yeah. Everybody realizes that we need the banking union as one pillar that was missing in the original economic and monetary union. We need, through this banking union for the euro area, to bridge the link, the perverse link between the public debt crisis and the balance sheets of the banks, because the crisis in the public debt is trying to create even more problems in the financial sector, and we need to solve the financial sector problems to finance the real economy and to have growth. So for the UK, this is a difficult challenge, because on the one hand, they understand perfectly well that this banking union and the single supervisory mechanism is needed.
Yes.
They are interested, as we are, in the solution of the problems of the euro area, and at the same time, it's evident that because they are not in the euro and they don't want to become members of the euro in the future, they cannot have the same power to influence decisions as the members of the euro area.
Just one final question, bringing back to your present responsibilities, competition. The single market ought to allow free competition in everything, but the liberal professions, as I think Mario Monti pointed out, are still not properly open to everybody. There is still protectionism. Is this ever going to change?
Yes, of course.
When?
This is not exactly a competition policy concern, or is first and foremost is a concern for my colleague Barnier, in charge of internal market, because this should require regulatory solutions at the European level. Right. But from time to time, as there is no adequate regulation, I receive as a Commissioner for Competition some cases where the lack of liberalization of professions imply distortions of competition, abuses of dominant position, or even, in some cases, collusion and agreements, horizontal agreements that are not allowed by the treaty.
I think it was one of your predecessors who had the great fight with Microsoft. Do you have any particular cooperation in your sights? I mean, one looks at Google these days.
I have some good clients. Well, with Microsoft, recently we opened an investigation because they...
Another one?
Yeah, because they were not complying with one of the remedies that were agreed during the Nelly Cruz period. Originated an investigation that advanced to during the Mario Monti period. So Microsoft is still a client.
Yes.
For one breach, not for other big issues. We are investigating Google in the functioning of the search engine, and some collateral issues linked with the main business of Google. And we have some conversations, let's say conversations with Google on other issues, with Apple, yes, with all the big names. In these new sectors, there is a characteristic that recently was analyzed by the economists, how these big successes, because there are big successes, innovative, dynamic, impressive, but at the same time, in their development, because of their growth, because of their success, from time to time, they create some problems that requires the attention of a competition commissioner.
Yeah, that's your job. Joaquin Almunia, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you very much.